Start the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the TB&J podcast. Across from me, returning, is my co-host Troy Brittingham.
And across from me is 3 Jeff Ackermans.
Oh, what?
Whoa!
We're all pointing at each other.
Oh
but
my
it's
God.
A visual gag on an audio medium. And to my right is Chris Carroll.
Yes, a spoiler alert for Spider-Man.
Yeah, spoiler alert that literally everyone knew. And to my further right is D. Hey, buddy.
Hey guys, did you like it? Thumbs up, thumbs down. What are we doing?
Well, we're doing the
have to
theme
do
song.
this-
Troy, hit it.
TB&J! TB&J! TB&J!
For the record. Guys,
Wow.
we just saw Spider-Man. Like, literally just saw it. We just got back to my apartment.
There
after
he goes,
leaving the
swinging
theater.
away. We also saw the movie.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for that
Spoilers
lame joke.
are about to be abound.
Yeah, full spoilers. We're holding nothing back, especially the end credits, which we will talk about at the end of this episode. But first off, holy goddamn shit, guys. The worst kept secret in cinema history, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield.
And we all believed that they were all going to be in it. We all knew that they were going to be in it.
I did not. Troy's picking fun at me. So I on the way there,
I thought it was going to be like a cameo.
So that's the thing, right? On the way there, I was driving with friend of the pod, John Fitzwater, and I was like, all right, real talk. Toby and Andy aren't going to be in this, right? And he was like, honestly, if they are, I'm expecting like an end credits cameo. There's no way they're in the real movie. That's just too high hopes.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, there they are in the fucking movie. Toby and Andy as Spider-Man and Spider-Man. And
Oh no, one was just some guy.
he was a youth pastor, right?
It was Tobey Maguire after his Hollywood stint.
Yeah.
It was yeah.
He found Jesus.
They both look great.
Spider Jesus.
I really did
Ooh.
think we would get and this is just because I've been led by just bad productions in the past of just like, oh, of course, like, you know, it'll be some weird thing out of nowhere at the end, at the big pivotal moment, they'll jump out or something and help them fight.
You've been hurt
Right.
before. We understand.
Yeah, and it's just like, no,
This is a
just like,
safe
we're just
space,
going to
dude.
integrate, and I really did like the way they did it.
So the way they did it, because we're just gonna get that out of the way right now. So Ned, Peter's friend, ends up with Strange's brass knuckles that can create portals. I don't know what they're actually called.
Sling ring.
Sling ring. Thank you. I knew it was a dumb
No,
name.
it's brass knuckles. He punches people with them all the time.
It should be just brass knuckles. And he accidentally makes a portal into Andy Garfield's universe.
No,
he makes a
so-
portal to Andy Garfield.
I thought this was a little racist. Just saying.
Go ahead.
How?
Go on.
They made another Asian guy have magic powers. Is that why
Isn't he
he's so-
Spanish?
I'm pretty sure he's Filipino.
Well, it's kind of a mixture of both.
It's something, but it's not really specified, which I kind of like that they never
All right,
specify
well,
it. But I mean, it's
There
whatever.
you go. You use the word racist and you become racist.
None of us thought two things about it.
You either die
Leave
here
the old white guy
or
in
you
the room.
live long enough to
I
become a
called-
racist.
I called the word down from the heavens.
But
and I
Are you a
opened up the
Republican
multiverse.
now?
I mean,
oh well.
it'd be a really easy switch for me, right? Look at me.
So
so-
Ned uses the sling ring.
Well, there's a lot more.
No,
than
we
this.
can't. We're not going to start that. That's not even where the place to start. Are we doing any summarization here? I don't know.
We'll go through the whole thing, but just they summoned them. He brought them in with
But
powers. It was cool.
So they were
But-
already in that universe.
Yes. So this movie picks up literally 2 seconds after Spider-Man 2 left off with the Mysterio video to the Daily Bugle about Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And everything just immediately goes to shit in Peter's entire life. The Department of Damage Control, who I'm still not entirely certain who the fuck they are.
I will tell you.
Because I
Damage Control was in the first movie. They were,
I just marathoned the first 2 movies for the first time.
and you
over
don't
the
know who
previous-
Damage Control is.
I saw them show up, but like they're just another shady government.
They literally
thing.
explain themselves at the beginning of that movie. No,
Do they?
in the movie they say like
don't remember that.
we're Damage Control. We've been set up since by S.H.I.E.L.D. and via Tony Stark. And
None of
that's-
that is explained.
It is because that's why he's upset. The Vulture is upset. The Michael Keaton's character is like, oh, so like the big
She
government.
just says
guys-
we have jurisdiction now and
Yeah.
sends him on his way. She doesn't explain herself.
She says they have jurisdiction, but like they
It's either implied or explained somewhere else.
They tell it at some point that like Tony Stark funds this. It doesn't. It's like a whole thing. But like it's like the guys that did this get to just clean up the mess and take it away from these guys. Like whatever. It's a whole. That's damage control though.
Yeah, that's damage control.
Hey, I have an important question for the whole group. Thumbs up, thumbs down?
Thumbs up.
Right.
Shut
Thank
up.
you. The bit that I introduced. Thumbs up. 3 thumbs up, actually. Get it?
Oh, wow, they all look the same, but kind of different from different universes.
One of them is a little more handsome. One of them is a little more older. One of them is a little shorter.
One's really awkward for some reason.
One's really good as Spider-Man and bad as Peter Parker.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
And they're all wearing different costumes.
So
the female was confused. She was just I can't tell any of them apart. She had to leave during the this Doctor Strange mirror universe. She's like can't watch it. Just like it was all over the place for her.
How did she get through Doctor Strange
was
1?
this before or after she drank an entire bottle of wine?
During.
How deep into the bottle?
I will say that I share her.
She had to
complaint.
leave to get another drink.
I think that the Raimi suit and the Garfield suit looked very, very similar.
They did in the dark, but I don't think that they.
That's the suit Garfield's wearing at the end of Spider-Man 2, and it looks almost identical to Tobey's suit in the original trilogy.
It's very different, but it did look more. It did look more similar because I think that Tobey is much thinner now. And he was like bulkier, like in that, and he was always kind of like a.
Well, he hasn't done a movie in so long.
But he definitely looks like thinned out, like he looks lanky, which actually gives him more of the Spider-Man look, which I think makes them look more like because the best Andrew Garfield looks best. As
we should keep going with thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up. I gave it 3 thumbs up. Chris gave it a thumbs up. You gave it a thumbs up.
I think we're all thumbs up.
Yeah.
I think
There's no way we're
I think
not.
we're all three thwipping spider webs up.
Absolutely. There's no fucking way we're not. This movie was
Maybe a fourth. No, there wasn't a fourth.
Second point of comparison, because Troy and I agreed on this. Better than Endgame?
I didn't see Endgame, so I can't tell you.
Fuck off, Jeff.
I'm
D?
trying. So I'm doing my homework. I'm catching up with Marvel movies. Endgame and Infinity War are the last ones I need to see.
No, I don't think it's better than Endgame.
You're out of your mind.
I agree with him after not seeing Endgame, but that's because I've got a big problem with the plot of this movie that we'll get to as soon as it shows up.
Okay.
To answer your question, also, Chris, I liked it more than Endgame, but I controversially kind of don't like Endgame until the final fight. So.
Okay.
Anyway, so Spider-Man's life goes to shit. MJ is getting like harassed because now she's Spider-Man's girlfriend. Ned is not really getting harassed. It's kind of funny. Flash is suddenly trying to be Peter's best friend.
Flash is like, harass me.
Yeah, I wrote a book called Flashpoint, and I'm just like, what the fuck? This is so in character, and I love it.
Dude, he looked. I don't know. So it was strange. Like the first scene that they show him, where he's like his world is falling apart because he's like learning that his hated friend, is Spider-Man, his hero, and in that scene it looked like he was exactly where we left him off, and then the next time we see him, he has the older look. So I don't know if how they filmed this or whatever. Because am I wrong here? Like he had the blonde hair,
looks different,
and he looks like thicker, like he filled out.
I don't know. I wasn't paying enough attention.
Well, now he's Spider-Man's best friend. He's got to bulk up and look the part.
It makes sense. But that was they were all good. I liked that they brought the other characters in as in this whole montage kind of scene. They bring the teachers in, Hannibal Buress, the two other comedians.
Hannibal Buress as the fucking detention teacher.
He's just like,
I was watching
man.
Spider-Man 1 earlier this week and then Spider-Man 2, and I was just like, this is my favorite fucking role he's ever. This is amazing.
Oh, Hannibal Buress
in this guy,
and
war
fucking
criminal now?
JB Smoove as the other science teacher. Oh, fucking hilarious.
And the guy with the long hair is great too. He's from Freaks and Geeks. What's his name?
Yeah.
He's amazing. I
can't remember his name either, but he's also so good.
Funny.
The teachers are so good in these movies. But as his life is falling apart, Aunt May's being Aunt May. She's like, you can't hold us, and MJ's doing MJ things just the same. And then they lawyer up with Matt Murdock, first cameo or guest
That was
appearance.
great.
This was by far my favorite little cameo of all this. This was like I loved the Daredevil series on Netflix, and this
It's real good.
And
is it the same actor?
Yes,
it is the same
Charlie,
actor.
Charlie Cox.
And this is where I dive into Hawkeye of this week. All right, this is going to be our coverage of Hawkeye 5.
Yeah, we'll give it a minute.
Here's the
which
deal.
only half of us watched. Fuck you guys.
The episode is good. The episode is solid. You like the episode?
Oh yeah.
I thought it was a solid episode all around. It's another fairly short one in general, but some great scenes between Yelena and Haley Staffield, Kate Bishop. Great interaction between them.
Watching Yelena get blipped and then immediately comes back.
So you get a scene of Yelena getting blipped in 2018.
Okay.
And you get it from her perspective, getting blipped out and back in, and it's all like instantaneous. So from
like
their
you see the
perspective,
wallpaper
you see
change.
them disappear, and then you see them reappear all
It's
in
a
1
really,
second.
really
and the
cool
wallpaper
scene.
changes because like the place that they had 5 years have passed. So like
It's a really good thing somebody wasn't in the bathroom at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe they were.
Also, why is there a strange blonde woman in my bathroom? I didn't ask for this.
So,
but I'll take it.
so
Well, she'll kill you.
It's true.
She'll just straight up
She's
kill
a Black
you.
Widow assassin.
She's-
neat episode, but as it turns out, it comes down to like, well, yeah, this is the guy that I've been worried about.
Yeah, Elaine
then-
told me I got to kill Hawkeye.
And then they show the phone. Literally, this is the last shot of the episode. He shows him, oh yeah, this is the guy I've been worried about, and he shows like a picture. All you get is a picture on the phone of her mother talking to Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin. He's like the Kingpin, and they just say the Kingpin, and it's him, and they just and then they go to like Christmas music, and it's hilarious. Like, or it's like you're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
That's so
and that's
funny.
all they give you, and then they have the whole Hawkeye imagery at the end, like they have every episode.
Yeah.
And the last scene is the same shot they usually have, except the silhouette of the Kingpin is around the city. It's a really nice little like.
That's kind of cool.
And it was dope. So they're just like, dude, Vincent D'Onofrio is the shit. This could be awesome.
I think-
I have theories that I actually want to jump into now.
Okay.
But like this.
Save it for the end.
Well, no, this is relevant here.
Okay.
Just because I don't think it's gonna be further than this. I don't think we needed to talk about this anymore. But
Okay.
but literally so we get Matt Murdock in here, and we just get a scene, and this scene is like a real bridge scene. It's just a quick scene where they show Matt Murdock in there. They showed his blind walking stick down, and you're just like, oh my god, it's happening.
The audience clapped and started
It's
cheering as soon
amazing.
as they saw
and
the
they
stick.
show him, and all it is a quick scene where they say, they can't have you on anything legally. Like somehow they don't do this. I didn't catch why or how. He's like I think he just says he handles it, or
He says, "I'm a really good lawyer."
I'm a really good lawyer, right? And then he says, and then he's like, but there's other fallout. There's the public scrutiny, and that's just
There's the court of public opinion,
Yeah,
yeah.
the court of public opinion. And he's like, the transfer of this, that's just the transfer from this being a legal issue to just being like it's just a problem for him, like socially, to have to have that.
Pardon me, that's my cell phone.
Wow, you got to turn those on silent, big guy.
Yep.
And then someone throws a brick through the window, and he catches
it.
And it's a dope scene to just cover exactly what happened, and just to give a little something there. It was pretty neat.
Could you imagine the person who has no idea what Daredevil is, or like the character, and they're just like, that blind guy just caught that brick?
So just as a minor speculative here, they're bringing Vincent D'Onofrio in. They're bringing this back. Vincent D'Onofrio. They've been devoid of ongoing villains that are likable. This is like the catch villain. So I think they are absolutely just being like, we're just going full in with the villains, building them up, and this is what makes sense to me. With all the Spider-Man stuff, and not Willem Dafoe, but Osborn,
Defriend. Norman Osborn.
Norman Osborn's character not being able to, like, being part of Sony and not being able to kind of like fulfill the roles that he would really do in the larger Marvel universe, which would be taking over S.H.I.E.L.D., becoming the leader of S.H.I.E.L.D., changing it over to Hammer, and becoming essentially like more or less what they did in DC when like Lex Luthor became president.
Yeah.
So like I really foresee them transferring those storylines of Green Goblin / Norman Osborn
over to
Kingpin,
to Fisk.
and having him be this kind of ongoing, like ground level, like real world interactive. Like he's probably working with Val. This whole this makes sense to me. He could be involved in Secret Invasion. He could get the kill shot in Secret Invasion, which leads to Norman Osborn becoming the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like he could actually be heroic at certain points and actually save like things. And like this could be like amazing storytelling.
It certainly
and with
seems-
Vincent D'Onofrio, it's like a no-brainer.
I'm very curious where Marvel's going with the next phase of all the Avenger stuff, because you have to build up a new villain that's got to be like better than Thanos, right? Thanos, whatever.
Well,
You guys can tell me
it's
later.
so
Jeff,
it's weird
Thanos.
though.
Thanos Amos.
So
They hate us because they
hate us
Thanos.
because they Thanos.
Yeah,
It's also really weird though, because it feels like, because we've been talking about like Kang, and then like we're talking about Kingpin, and, like
Still
and
waiting on Mephisto.
I feel like we're really building up like a lot of different villains. Like I think they may have just taken the approach of just like, we can't do Thanos again.
No,
we're just gonna.
and it's like that thing where I'm big in the DC universe. After Ledger was no longer Joker, everyone immediately just skewered Leto for a lot of good reasons and a lot of bad reasons, just because he was trying to fill the shoes, and it's impossible to do. So, like, trying to come up with the next Thanos, you're not going to. You're not going to be able to live up to that because it was such a lightning
So
in
what
a
you're
bottle
saying
moment.
is that the next Thanos, they should just recast Thanos, and it should be Jared Leto with damaged written on his forehead.
No, I think
snaps.
I think what they want to do is that if your next quote unquote Thanos is Kang, right, which I think is what you're probably best akin to, right, then you don't want to just make it be about Kang. You want to kind of have other villains that are actually other big bads that are just as relevant, and then that, I think, gives you an air of freshness.
Well,
to
I mean, the
them.
first arc kind of does that because, like, in hindsight, Ultron's not like a super big world-ending bad guy at the end of the day. Like, he was trying to end the world.
We are.
But like when
why
you
did I say that?
when you look, you're trying to end the world.
No,
interesting.
I said something in my head and I responded to it out loud. I'm sorry.
But like, Ultron's entire thing was kind of just to like set up for like Civil War and hint at more Infinity War stuff, and like he was just sort of like the problem that they had to set up. Like he was a big villain, but he was just kind of like the bridging point.
It's an easy enough role to bring back because all James Spader has to do is do some voiceover work. It's not like you have to do much. It's all CGI,
And
he's like literally an unkillable.
He's the
thing.
easiest character to just say, actually, there was just one more. He put him. He was on a USB.
Yeah, he just Wi-Fi'd over to the Guardians of the Galaxy universe, and he was fine.
He's
been there for
He
a
downloaded
while.
way more RAM.
Speaking of the web, Spider-Man. Yeah.
Nice segue.
Thank you. I thought so.
I'm being facetious.
Oh, anyway, Spider-Man.
That means he's joking.
Murdoch ends up getting all their legal troubles to go away, but they end up moving in with Happy in his little condo, which I thought was fucking hilarious.
Which has the Iron Man one arm.
Yeah, funny that
Best
it is
cameo.
a little. Funny that it is a little condo because he is huge.
Yeah, he's a big man.
That man got larger.
John Favreau is a big man. Yeah.
He can be. I think he fluctuates a lot. I don't know. He didn't look uber healthy at this point, so I hope he.
Yeah,
Look who's back.
yeah, but they move in with Happy, and Peter's trying to like piece together his life, but it's impossible, right? J. Jonah Jameson is on the radio every day calling Peter a fucking menace and a murderer for killing Mysterio.
And the last straw. I mean, the last straw is when this cisgendered white boy just doesn't get into MIT. It's just he and his friends don't get into
That
MIT,
is a tragedy,
and he's
actually.
like, I am going to erase the world's mind.
Yeah, so he and his friends are.
Was that the plot point that you had a problem with?
Doctor
you're very
Strange
close.
just straight up calls him on it too. Like, you didn't do anything else to try and fix this. You went straight to erase everyone's memories.
You want me to
Yes.
brainwash the whole world?
So you guys are dancing around the point that I have the biggest problem with, and it's
Okay.
not even that big of a point. But so MJ, Ned, and Peter really want to get into MIT, and MIT in their letter says, in light of all the recent controversy, we cannot consider your application at this time. So Peter heads over to Doctor Strange's house, and he's just like, listen, I need the world to forget that I am Spider-Man so that my friends can go back to normal lives and get into MIT. And Strange, in the strangest aspect of his character...
Heh.
Yeah, sure. He offers up, Wong gives him the idea for a memory spell to make the world forget. And Strange just starts casting it without even telling Peter the ramifications, which seems incredibly out of character. And if he had just done that instead of begun casting, the entire plot would not have happened.
Yeah.
And it feels really, really shoehorned in, and I hate it.
It does. No,
Strange
that
is
whole
such a
thing-
meticulous, careful man, and to start casting a spell without telling Peter the details of it, without telling Peter that he himself will forget who Peter is, just seemed so out of
Yeah.
character that it pulled me out for a minute, and I hated it.
This is the same issue that I had with the trailer. Like, I mean, it did all seem kind of like that. I mean, in the end, it doesn't. Like, after this fact, after it kind of happens, you're kind of in there. But, like, do we find out that like Dark Doctor Strange has control of him, or has been, bending the thing? Then it becomes like a little less. It becomes more believable in my end and less of an issue, because it is, to me, like, you're right. It's a weird thing, and it's the crux of the film, right? Like if that has to go wrong, and that spell has to be messed up for this to happen, for that to work. But like, I mean, if they can hand wave this away by saying, like, I had a piece of you, I've been trying to like manipulate, get you to do these things, like, and that seems actually like it tracks. Like, I've subtly manipulated you. And that tracks if you get like, oh, the place is in dire straits, like, the winter storm or whatever they decided came through there. There's just like, there's imagery and setting to kind of give you the impression that, like, he hasn't been fully in control. He's not the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, there's something off about.
Well, he's not the Sorcerer Supreme. Wong is.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Is
somebody
like,
pulling the strings.
He seems to be.
So that, okay, I have to point this out at this point because you were talking about the Sorcerer Supreme stuff. That, unfortunately, that means Wong dies at some point, right? Am I wrong about that? Like, in order for Doctor Strange to then be
no,
I mean,
actually, a big storyline as Doctor Strange in the Avengers was him no longer being the Sorcerer Supreme, and the issue being that, being the Sorcerer Supreme kind of gives. What they were trying to do in the comics was just to try to depower him a little bit, because he was kind of just like this ancillary character that came in to just do whatever you needed to do. So if you were going to make him like a regular character, you kind of had to depower him a little bit.
Yeah, he needs
so
weaknesses.
They had a whole
Deus
thing
Ex
where
Machina.
they just kind of depowered. So that could be,
But I'm saying is, how in like further movies are they going to say?
What I'm saying is that they don't need to make him Sorcerer Supreme. They can just kind of. They just kind of have that out there that he doesn't need it. So I'm just saying he doesn't need to die, but he could, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But so Strange starts casting the spell, and he says, "It's been nice knowing you." And Peter's like, "Excuse me?" And he was like, "Everyone's going to forget Peter Parker as Spider-Man, including me and the Avengers and Happy and everyone." And that's when Peter intervenes, and he's like, "Well, some people need to remember." And Strange starts manipulating the spell for him, but it gets out of control. He loses complete control, and he has to contain the motherfucker in this little like glass orb thing, and the world is kind of the way Peter wants it. Everyone he wanted to forget has forgotten. Everyone he wanted to remember has remembered, with the caveat
and
that
then the credits started rolling.
And then the credits started rolling. No, and then Strange is like, "You should go talk to MIT and at least plead your case." Don't. And he like throws him out of the fucking house. It was hilarious. He gets so mad. And then Peter tracks down the MIT chick on the bridge.
I didn't quite understand why he put on the Iron Spider suit.
So it's my understanding at this point in the film, like, he just always has the suit on him, and at least for the sake of...
No, he starts off the movie in the suit from Far From Home.
Oh, you know what? You're
the
right.
black
You're right.
suit,
Yeah.
and he's in that, and then he decides out of nowhere to just put on the other suit.
I think he was using the Stark Tech to try to track her down.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah,
I do remember that.
And I thought that, and I guess like it's a quick change for him. So that
Although the Stark Tech's offline because.
But this was the greatest
lawyers.
So whatever. So he goes there to track her down. We don't need to tell every single.
No, but that's Doc Ock shows up. Yes. Doc Ock shows up, starts fighting him, and
this is great because. When they fight, because the whole scene they show you in the trailers all the time about the him absorbing the nanotech and stuff, and this is a great little scene. And you're like, oh god, that's bad, and then you're like, wait a minute, and then he clearly just takes over the AI in his suit. He starts controlling Doc Ock's arms. It's like it is so funny to be like, oh, it's exact. Like he's like, your fancy new suit will save you. And he's like, actually, yes, it will.
Actually, yes. Yeah. Doc takes a chunk of the Iron Spider suit and uses the nanobots on his own arms, and then the suit on Peter. It's just like connection available, and he's just like, what? And he links up to the arms.
New
and now he's
Bluetooth
in
connection available.
Connecting beyond all these
playing
all
Pornhub.
the big kind of Easter eggs that are in this film, like the tiny little things were really cool too.
This film was full
the
of Easter eggs.
interactions between the characters of as all these guys start showing up, Sandman, Flint Mark, like all this stuff, and they're all just like, well, he was a crazy scientist who did this, and you can't fall into that. How many times they referenced the eels falling into? Holy shit!
I was saying this on our way out. My favorite thing about the movie is that they talk about the eels not once but twice that Electro falls into.
They really
and I like how they even
throw
try to give
shade.
it like an explanation that I don't think was in the movie. Like
they fully acknowledge like, okay, we kind of fucked this up originally, but here we are fixing it. Isn't this great?
Yeah, but I liked all these characters. I think. I mean, I guess we're not quite there yet, but like, it's on my mind now, so I got to get it out. The part where what I'm talking about is when he steals the box, Spider-Man from Strange, and he's like, he knocks Peter out of his body. And when he's still, because of his spider abilities or spider sense, like still able to kind of, his hand is moving.
Yeah, he's able to keep it away from him.
Is like the greatest little subtle thing about Spider-Man's powers. That is always a thing. That his spider sense is like, and this movie just killed his spider sense. Like, in a good way. Like he also figures out that Norman is wrong with it. Like he uses it in a way that is much more like proactive and
that's a
interesting.
That's a super cool scene. This is jumping ahead, but it's a super cool scene when he's using his spider sense like that, and he's in the room, and all the villains are surrounding him, and it's just like, oh, there's danger somewhere, and he looks around the room, and he's just surrounded by Spider-Man villains, and they're like
the Sinister Five.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of expecting there to be like another villain that showed up out of nowhere, and they would be the Sinister Six.
I
That'd be
100%
cool.
thought the whole time that Mysterio was coming back.
Well, here's the thing. Mysterio, we don't get any new footage of it, but we do get new footage of Tom Hardy's Venom, so technically we do have a sixth villain in this movie.
Which that's my biggest fucking gripe about this movie.
Technically, it's not in the movie; it's in credit.
Yeah. But we'll get there. We'll talk about that in its own
dude.
window.
Okay, one nerdgasm they missed out on, right, is in the midst of this fight with 3 Spider-Man and all the other almost Sinister Six, is just to have Matt Murdock Daredevil just come down. Like, bro, I'd take my pants and jerk off.
Oh my! Your child was in the theater.
I said what I said.
I said what I said.
We all just cover his eyes.
Yeah,
I'll cover my eyes too.
So we can never go back to the theater with the...
So Spider-Man manages to neutralize Doc Ock, and then we see Goblin appear on the bridge, and then that's when Spider-Man just gets like pulled through a portal into Strange's basement, and he's like, what the fuck just happened? And Strange is like, this is what just happened. He captures Doc Ock into this like prison cell that only Strange can go in and out of, and he's just like, all these, when I did that, it summoned all these people that know Peter Parker is Spider-Man from different universes, and now we have to fucking fix it. And he gives Spider-Man a little like shooter thing for his arms that he can send people into the prison cell, and he's just like, Scooby-Doo this shit and go figure it out. And it's which I'm glad he didn't say Scooby-Doo this crap, which was in the trailers. I'm glad he said Scooby-Doo this shit. It made me happy. Doesn't matter
because you like profanity.
Yes, and it just Scooby-Doo this crap doesn't roll off the tongue very well.
It's fair.
It is fair. But then Spider-Man, MJ, and Ned are tracking down all the other villains. We find Sandman and Electro. Sandman being a good guy and helping him beat Electro. And then Sandman...
I was actually super, not worried, but super curious on how they were going to do Sandman in this.
Me too.
Because they're like, oh, they all died fighting Spider-Man. He didn't.
No, Sandman got away.
And he like was not friends with Spider-Man, but like
they were neutral.
Stuff.
Yeah, his first interaction with him is protecting him from
and that's where I was like, they could just totally just be like, it's a different. I thought they were going to do a lot of like, oh, it's a different Electro who didn't fall into a vat of eels. Oh, it's a different
Flint who didn't fall into a super collider.
He did, but he's like, he's not evil.
Yeah,
like I mean, he's not good. He's still evil. I mean,
Sandman was kind of like the Mr. Freeze of Marvel, where he was never really a bad guy. He just did bad things to get to a good end.
Yeah.
And that's why I always enjoyed.
I mean, generally, I think that storyline becomes more part of it maybe as the story goes on. I think initially he's like a bully who gets like,
oh well, then in that case, never mind.
But like no, but they totally that's the and I may be wrong about this in the origin originally, but I know
you guys
that,
have read more Marvel comics than I.
At some point, that becomes like the standard bearer.
Does he originally use sand?
No, it was actually Mudman. No.
Oh, gotcha.
Don't bring the
No,
Mud
no,
Man.
no, Mud Man can't
Well,
come.
the other thing that I liked was that
Jeff,
was that
it's
they
Mud Hut
decided
Man.
they gave with this is another plot point of like that was too meta to not realize that like Lizard decides to stay down in the van instead of
that's when
coming
I
up,
was
and I'm like.
That's
you
weird.
mean because it's hard to you don't want to pay for the CGI and just stand around scenes
Yep.
like so you're not going to have the entirely CGI character, which by the way that thing is the worst looking lizard, and I'm glad they just stuck with like the original design that they used in the movie, but like
He was so terrible looking.
it's just he's like a Pokemon. I don't know. He's just like
Yeah.
flat features. Like he should look like a lizard. Like he's scaly, but he's like a flat like round
He looks
Kermit
like
face.
Killer Croc in the bad Suicide Squad.
No, Dee's right. He does look like Kermit the
He looks
Frog.
like Kermit the Frog.
God damn it.
He looks like Kermit the Frog.
Oh, Spider-Man.
Like
oh,
he doesn't
I've
like
come.
every
turn everybody into
version of the
lizards.
lizard has like a dinosaur face. Like
Yeah.
like literally like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah, well, I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you
Roll
will.
Tide.
Ooh, I'll take it with those tiny little arms. All the better to hold you down, my dear.
Grab me by the ears. It's all you can reach.
Yeah. This joke is great. I just can't stop thinking about Kermit the Frog fighting Spider-Man now. That's all I
I
got.
can't.
I liked-
sorry,
I
I can't
liked
right
how
now. I'm on my
Toby-
Cretaceous period.
I like how we got to see that one image of all the that we from the international trailer. You know the international trailer that
Yeah.
showed Lizard getting punched, kind
was
of
kicked?
by an invisible force.
Yeah,
He was kicked,
yeah.
he
He was
not
kicked
punched?
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, so the worst kept secret in all of trailers and whatever.
It was kept from you.
It was kept from me because I refused to watch it, and I was like, "Oh, look at this! Look at this!" And I'm just like, "You fans are grasping at straws. There's no way anything's
You
gonna
also
happen."
told. I also you said something along the lines of like. We were joking around about the characters, and you said like, "And what if Daredevil shows up?" And I went,
know.
"I'm pretty sure that he's a rumor." you're like, yeah, everybody's a
I
fucking
also
rumor.
said Wanda, and she was in the very end in the Doctor Strange trailer. So
we called essentially a Doctor Strange trailer at the end. I mean,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
It was a lot of footage.
It was
For
a
an
straight
end-credit
trailer.
scene.
there was
it was pretty much just a rough cut of a Doctor Strange 2 trailer. I
Yeah.
thought.
yeah.
there was a part of me where I was feeling this movie all the way through. Even some of the things that were like kind of dumber, I was still kind of like grin ear to ear.
They're fun.
It's,
I'm
it's a
something
super,
of a scientist
yeah,
myself.
it's a super fucking fun movie.
It's so fun.
That's all that
And-
matters, really.
And like technically like Far From Home might be like a tighter script maybe, but like this was
Who
like
cares?
so much more fun.
Yeah.
But and Far From Home is great.
Far
But
From Home is good.
whatchamacallit, where was I going with this? Oh, like I'm grinning ear to ear, and I'm sort of just like, as the end credits are coming to a close, I'm just sort of like, can this movie do anything? Is anything possible? Are the X-Men gonna appear in the end credits? And then it was Wanda. I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes more sense. I mean, Wanda, X-Men, you're not
That
too
is
far
true.
off
No,
from the
that's,
truth.
yeah, no, you're right.
What if it just played the X-Men theme?
Hugh
Hugh
Jackman shows up. He's like, "What I miss?" That'd be good. That'd be good.
and Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool.
Dude, stop getting my dick hard.
that was the other thing I was vaguely thinking might happen.
Was
Deadpool?
Was like
Jake?
because his costume is an analog of Spider-Man's.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's true.
I thought like
And you
what better introduction than to just be like, oh
It
no,
doesn't
another
even-
one, be like, sorry.
It
and
doesn't
just
even
do a
have
thing.
to. It doesn't even have to be like an introduction to him. It could it
Could a
could
little bit of
completely be
post-credit.
non-canon, just fourth wall breaking
Yeah.
stuff because he
What
doesn't
if-
even
post-credit.
need to be in it.
What if when he's looking for Peter Parker, it shows Deadpool, but he just stole some guy's ID that says Peter Parker?
Yeah,
Nah.
that makes sense.
Yeah. So Peter ends up getting Electro in the jail. He gets Sandman in the jail, and then
He
he's
gets
talking.
Doc Ock. Doc Ock was already in jail.
Doc
Wait, I
Ock was
thought-
already in jail.
Talk about the plot. Those are just maneuvers that people do in prison.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Here.
Hey, I got a Electro in jail.
I'm doing
Yeah.
a Doc
I got a
Ock.
big old Sandman in jail.
Oh, that sounds dirty. Jesus Christ, what has my show become?
I don't want to know what the Green Goblin is.
And then Peter gets a call.
I think you know.
That's some freaky
I don't
shit.
know.
Peter ends up getting a call from May, who says, "I have one of the guys you're looking for." And he's,
Oh my god, a Doc Ock is really bad.
to an 8 guys just fucking corner you.
8 tentacle monsters.
Oh Jesus! Also, May.
I did like the arachnid versus octopus fight. Like when he pulls out, he's like,
Yes.
That's another like your
Yeah.
new fancy suit won't save you, and he's like, he's got
It's
all
kinda
he's got
well.
8 arms.
It actually will.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah,
It's actually pretty dope.
it's actually pretty fucking dope. Fuck it. So he goes over to the feast center where May is, and he's like, May, what's wrong? And then we have Norman, who's like, and it's Norman, not Green Goblin at the moment, and he's just lost out of it. He's looking for help.
He's homeless.
And because he says I went home and somebody else lives there, and Oscorp doesn't exist in this universe.
They
and-
really dressed him in the Goblin colors, though. He had
Yeah, he was wearing a green
bright
overcoat
purple
with a
and
purple
gray-
sweater.
Yeah. And that was fun because like, Jesus, Willem Dafoe.
Such a good actor.
Has he aged since then? He's looked that way forever. So
Yeah. He's like
he literally stepped
they
out.
he's like Keanu. Maybe he's the vampire.
like
They
don't get me wrong.
used-
What's his face looks great. Alfred
Well,
Molina
they
looks pretty
used
good.
de-aging tech on him. I don't know if they used it for
Okay.
Willem. I don't know if it was used on Defoe, but I
What about DeFriend? That's
You already made that joke.
I love that joke. I'm gonna keep making it, even if you yawn. It's fine. So they
Jamie
end up.
Foxx did not need it.
So there's this. Oh, thank you.
Oh, but by the
I
way, I was really confused the whole. When I thought you were going to talk about Sandman, I was really confused the whole movie. I'm like, did they not get what's it, Thomas Hayden Church? Is that the actor?
I think
do
so.
not know.
And then Thomas Hayden Church is the actor, and I'm
I
like,
thought that
they're,
too.
they're CGIing him the entire time. I'm like, that's his voice. Could they not get him in? Is it a COVID? Like what? I was so confused as to what was going on. And then they show him at the end, and I'm like, oh, and this is the other thing. Sorry, I keep saying that, but literally the first like 20-minute interaction, or the first like 10 minutes of interaction between Toby and Andrew Garfield, they are clearly not in the same room. Like it is like. You guys
They just
didn't
keep
notice
cutting
at all.
back.
It was
They-
literally overcut shots. Like you never saw them in the same frame, and I'm like, they're not in this. I was wondering if they were going to continue that.
I actually
I
heard
was
you in
like,
the theater.
Okay,
Just like, are they in the same room?
they're not in the same place. Like, and that didn't happen until they get fighting later.
I mean, some of the filming happened under COVID procedures, so
Yeah.
I imagine. I mean, you can only have like maybe 2 people on set or something. So,
Also, if you put 2 Spider-Men in a room, they absorb together.
Yeah, they were like
time
they're like-
cop rules.
The
Yeah,
webs
they
interlock.
figured it out by the final fight, but they're just like, I don't know how we're gonna do this, guys.
yeah.
Trust your Spidey tingle.
So
And then they'll become Spider-Man.
part of the crux of the film happens here where May is talking with Peter because Peter insists that he has to send Norman back to the jail so that he and Strange can send everybody back to their universes. And May says, no, we have to help these people because that's who fucking Aunt May is across all the comic storylines. And she and Peter get into it a little bit where it's actually a bit of an argument between the two of them. And Peter says, no, trust me, this is what has to be done. And she's like, for them or for you? And it's this kind of moment where Peter has to think about it, like, oh, am I actually trying to help them, or am I just trying to get rid of them? And
yeah, but the whole theme of the movie is you can't have everything.
yes, the theme of the movie is you can't have everything.
You can never have this.
So he sends Norman back to the jail, and he joins them there. And Strange has this magic box with the broken spell inside of it, and he's about to send everybody back.
It's just a Rubik's Cube.
When Spider-Man steals the box, and then he and Strange have this.
I thought
giant
Scarlet
fight.
Witch had the magic box.
That's okay.
Is that how she made those kids?
Oh dear.
D.
That's okay.
Well,
not wrong.
to be fair,
You're
it
not,
was-
and I hate it.
the magic around what's the town's name in Jersey?
Westview.
Westview.
WandaVision.
That's it. The WandaVisionville.
Roll credits.
WandaVisionville.
We
I
have
believe
a
it.
title.
I believe it was a big square. So
Mm.
No, it's a hexagon.
you be quiet.
It
over
was
there.
a hexagon. They called it the hex. Remember?
Damn it.
That's D's. That's D's kid there telling me.
God damn it.
That's it. Troy, you're off the podcast.
Get the kid in.
No.
Get the kid in there.
No.
You don't have to do that.
He's
No,
not. He's
no,
not serious.
no.
Go sit down. Go play Halo. So Strange and Spider-Man have an actual like fight a little bit, and I say fight. Spider-Man's trying. I don't feel like Strange is
Oh, no,
trying
this
very
is
hard.
a dope fight. No, this is a dope fight. He's
So that's the thing I want to say. I think the fight choreography for this movie is really good.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was reminded of one of the animated Batman films. The name escapes me, but like Damian turns on Batman, and it's like this little 10-year-old trying to beat up fucking Batman, and Batman's like pulling his punches
Is that
for a
Batman
minute.
versus Robin?
It might be. I think you're right. And Batman's like pulling his punches at first until Damian throws a bomb, and then he's like, "All right, kid," and he just beats the shit out of him.
What were you gonna say, Dave?
I don't know.
Yeah, he lost his point.
Yeah,
but
but
it felt like that a little bit, where Strange was kind of pulling punches for a while, and then he was like, "All right, no, I gotta play ball."
I'm just gonna throw you to the mirror dimension. We're just gonna mirror dimension
They
this.
throws him in the mirror dimension, and then he's got like a portal holding him. He's got 2 portals holding him between his own webs, and then Spider-Man manages to close those portals on each other and just fucks everything in the dimension. And then he learns that the dimension is just geometry, and then he does a bunch of shit and manages
That was
to
really
trap
cool. He
Strange
does
there.
the math and then like traps him, and then apparently that's where he's trapped until the end of the movie, where when Ned opens a portal accidentally for him to the mirror dimension. And
Yeah.
and that's the whole thing, is like he said he's just been falling
He's been
similar to the
stranded
Loki
above the Grand Canyon for 12
above the
hours.
yeah.
He said it was
So
above
he's-
it, not falling.
So was he not like just in a loop of?
No.
I
No,
thought he
'cause
was
he
in
was-
like a portal loop, like just like falling into this one and then into the next one that led him back to the top. Like I thought, he was
Like
just
sort
doing
of what
that.
he did to Loki.
What he did to Loki. I've been falling for 20 minutes. It's like the funniest line. That's the great.
He said he was suspended above the Grand Canyon, so I don't think he was falling, but it maybe. But Spider-Man webs him up, steals the box, and steals his sling ring, and leaves him in the mirror dimension. And then he gives Ned the sling ring, and he gives the box to MJ, and he's like, "You guys go somewhere. I'm going to try to cure these people." And he brings all the villains to Happy's apartment, where Happy has a fabricator from Stark Industries. And using the fabricator, he and Osborn design a new microchip for Doc Ock to silence the arms, so that now Octavius is fully in control, and there is no more Doc Ock. It's just Otto Octavius, and he's got his fancy arms, and he starts helping develop a cure for Norman and helping develop a cure for all of them. And it goes smoothly at first until we get the awesome scene you mentioned, Troy, where his spider sense starts tingling, and everyone's like, "What's wrong, Peter?" And Peter's looking around at all these supervillains, and then he just
Yeah,
webs
it was
Osborn.
like a what's wrong, and then he looks around,
At the Sinister Six.
surrounded by his most powerful villains, and goes, "Oh, that it's
something.
that.
I can't put my finger on
It's
it.
all the villains surrounding me."
But he webs Norman's hand down, and that's when we realize it's not Norman at the wheel right now, it's Goblin. And Goblin admits that the cure he was designing for himself is not a cure at all. It's going to do pretty much nothing. And then he manages to convince Max, Electro, and Sandman to join him, even though Max was already leaning on the villain side anyway, because he was like, "I don't know how I feel about this. I really like this power. I really like this new me. I don't want to give it up." But he still had the diffuser on his chest that would take away his electricity, and he was going to let it happen until Norman stepped in and pushed him over the edge, and he was like, "Nah." And
Yeah,
then,
I was. I interestingly enough, they made Max Dillon, Jamie Foxx's character, exactly the same as he was in the other movie, but
Amazing Spider-Man 2?
infinitely more
Yes.
likable for some reason. Like infinitely more like just toned down. You're not doing any of the crazies. It's just okay. Yeah, you like power and you want power, and you got this kind of
That's
Jamie
the,
Foxx vibe.
That's
Like-
the we were
It
talking
was
about
so good, too.
We
I
were
think
talking
you just
about
like
the-
Jamie Foxx.
Jamie
we were
Foxx is
talking
a
about
good
the
actor.
we were
yeah.
talking about the
remember Baby
design.
Driver?
Oh yes, I do.
We were talking about the design of the lizard, and I feel like it really feels like they were just like, "Oh yeah, these other 2 movies, we're gonna bring them in, or these other 2 franchises, we're gonna bring them in." It's like, isn't some of this stuff gonna be too goofy? And they're just like, "Nah, we're just gonna do it."
yeah, we'll just lampshade
But
it.
You were
Jamie,
just-
he's
yeah,
no longer
that's
blue.
true.
We're gonna make Jamie no longer blue. It's gonna be great.
He was a little blue at first.
When we first saw him, and he was absorbing power from the power lines.
Yeah, that's all. They don't give much explanation for it, but
Also, oh my God, best introduction to Electro ever. Sandman helps stop him, and then he's just back to a normal person on the ground, and he's like, "Y'all gonna stand there like I'm not butt ass naked?"
Hilarious.
and
Fantastic
and Thomas
delivery.
Hayden Church's delivery is great on that too, where he's just like, "I was, yes." Yeah, he's like,
I was absolutely
That's
gonna keep
absolutely
pretending.
gonna do that.
And Peters holds up a hand. He's like, "No, not at all, man." So fucking funny.
So
And that's when you remember Jamie Foxx still looks really fucking good.
yeah, and he's got to be in his 50s, right?
I want to say 40s or 50s, yeah, and he still looks fucking incredible. I hope I look half as good.
I
when
would
I'm
have
that age.
liked if in the end of the movie where they do take away people's powers, that like in Amazing Spider-Man 2
He's
where
54.
54,
Yeah.
got it.
Jesus Christ.
And Jamie Foxx still looks damn fucking
That's
good.
not fair.
I know, right? He's so fucking good looking. How old is what's his name? Jeff from Community. God, what's that actor?
You mean the rival
Joel-
of the
Joel
he was
McHale.
the
Joel
ex-rival of this podcast?
Yeah, Joel McHale.
Former
Until we
ex-rival.
defeat-
I
them.
said formal.
Joel
yeah,
McHale
we
still
won.
looks fucking sexy, and he's 50. Like he's almost as old as Jamie Foxx, and he still looks damn good.
It's almost like you guys think that age makes you good looking or bad looking.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't.
Well,
Clearly.
It's how. It's not the years. That's the mileage, as any mechanic will tell you.
And D has a lot of miles.
Marlboro Miles.
Yeah.
oh no.
That used to be a thing for you youngsters. Go ask your nearest old person about it.
Jeff, we're the same age.
It's like Camel Cash.
to the
Okay.
podcast.
So,
Camel Cash.
so are we at the point? So MJ and Ned are together.
MJ
we
and Ned
get
are
to the
together,
scene, right? We get
and yeah. So Norman, actually, the fight in the condominium first.
So this fight's fucking
Electro
dope.
and Sandman
Oh, yeah.
leave. Doc Ock gets thrown from the building by Norman. and the bugle,
Doc got healed though.
Doc
Yes.
got healed, but
Yeah.
he ends up getting thrown from the building.
this
and
was
leaves.
interesting because I don't believe the Spider-Man 2 movie explores kind of like any logic to like why they just say like the arms took over.
Yeah.
But this they kind of say like, oh, there's an AI that's supposed to control them, and it's this switch kind of allows him to control the AI.
They do
and
show that
this
in Spider-Man
flipped it.
2.
Do they?
Because he puts the arms on and fires at the tritium reactor, and the reaction breaks that chip. They zoom in on it.
Okay.
You do see it
but
happen.
do they have like an explanation? There's an AI.
I believe so.
They say like
It's
the
been a
arms
few
have like a
years.
mind of their
Yeah.
own. I don't think they like really go into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this just made like a
Yeah,
very
but they bring more
good like quick
stuff into
sense to me to like be like okay.
Yeah, so basically, Osborn manages to separate Peter from everyone else, and May has all of the cures, and she's like running down the staircase trying to get out, while Peter and Osborn are in a brutal fight, and Osborn's kicking his ass.
And they're doing wrestling moves, like he's just picking him up and just slamming him through the ground.
a lot of suplexing, a lot of webbing.
My favorite cheesy superhero trope that like always gets me, like you know how everybody has the trope where you're just like, oh, this isn't 1,000 things. I still like it though.
Yep.
Mine is when superhero characters throw each other through multiple walls. I really like it. Where it's like two super powered characters and they punch each other and they like go through multiple buildings in like a comic frame. And
like Superman versus Zod.
This is this is like literally every single like punch and throw and grapple ends with somebody getting thrown through a floor or a wall.
They really like OP'd
Goblin.
Green Goblin here. Like this is far more powerful than he ever was in the first movie.
I need to go back and watch some of the punches he throws on Thanos.
I was on that.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man hits Thanos a few times.
No, I'm talking about Green Goblin.
Right,
like,
no.
Green Goblin was fire.
But I'm saying that like he has a whole scene where he's punching Green Goblin in the face and he's just not reacting. And I'm just like, is it just because he's crazier than Thanos?
Yes. Yes.
Well, the Goblin serum has like various effects of the kind. Like
Right.
and I was honestly thinking they were gonna go a route where they go the CGI. Because in the Ultimate Universe, he's like
He
the
gets
Green
big.
Goblin is a
There's an
giant
actual
Hulk-like
monster.
He's
goblin.
swole.
He's like swole, huge. It makes sense that he's like this powerful. He's basically Hulk almost, like in many ways. So like, I was wondering if they were like amping him up to that round, or if he had done something into himself to make, and they were going to go there, but they didn't really explore it, which is fine. There's a lot in this movie.
So much. But the fight culminates in the lobby of the condominium with Goblin getting his glider back, and Parker's there with May, and he lights off a couple bombs, and May ends up dying. May dies there, and it's fucking brutal. After she tells Peter, with great responsibility or great power must also come great responsibility.
and-
She does
and-
deliver the Uncle Ben line.
So, did later on, because this is where it more comes up when they talk later, but like, did they acknowledge an Uncle Ben for our
no, Tom Holland.
Tom
They didn't acknowledge an Uncle Ben that I know.
believe that
There's
Tom,
an Easter egg in Far From Home when Spider-Man packs a suitcase and BRP.
I know that, and in What If he references Uncle Ben.
Okay.
In What If, so you could argue that's similar.
there
to
is an Uncle Ben, I think, but it's just
so
not.
so it draws on me that they say that and that because it was weird because like Andrew Garfield, like I love that like Andrew Garfield's sob story is Gwen Stacy, but he also lost.
Yeah.
And
also
then he's
lost
just
Ben.
like, oh,
It was-
he's
it
like,
was
yeah,
really
I
a
did that too.
variety
He's
thing.
Andrew Garfield's like, no, I literally had it the worst.
Yeah.
At least he gets to save Mary Jane.
I also
I love
saw
that scene.
I saw Amazing Spider-Man 2 for the first time yesterday,
And it was great.
with friend of the pod John. I saw parts of it. I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw the ending fight where Gwen dies, and holy fucking shit, that
Yeah.
was
It's
so
like
dark.
it's like the one kind of good thing in that movie.
Yeah, you hear her head hit the concrete like an egg dropping, and it's so fucking brutal. And then him just like sobbing over her body. And I was reminded of that when Tom Holland was sobbing over Aunt May, and then Happy shows up because he's coming back home, and he screams at Peter to run and get the hell out of there.
Well,
Because
they
the
also
Department of Damage Control shows up to take him
they
in.
do sort of like a fucking Land Before Time thing. If anybody's ever been traumatized by Land Before Time,
Yes.
Yeah.
where he's just sitting there asking her to get up, and he's just like, no, come on, get up, please.
Wake up, Aunt May, come on.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of like, come on.
I have noticed, I don't know if this is deliberate, but
Stop twisting the knife.
Tom Holland's Peter calls her May. He doesn't really call her Aunt May.
Yeah, man.
And Toby and Andrew said Aunt May. I don't know if that's relevant. It just struck me as odd.
It's probably just the flow of the tongue thing.
Yeah, I'm sure. It was just weird. Anyway, doesn't matter. So Peter ends up running away from May's corpse as the Department of Damage Control comes in. And then we see J. Jonah delivering a whole monologue about how everything Peter Parker touches is chaos and calamity and God save us all. And Peter's just like crying in the pouring rain.
Which is it's also, that's a pretty cool edited scene where there's like no sound but Jonah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real done in the rain.
Yeah, it's real fucking depressing. And then it cuts back to MJ and Ned in Ned's grandmother's house.
This is really this. They purposely put this scene here because they're like, everybody in the crowd is depressed.
Marissa Tomei just died, man.
That's what I'm saying. Is they're just like, nobody's enjoing this movie now.
Yeah.
This fun movie.
No. And then they cut back
And
to
her biological clock was ticking like this.
so Ned and MJ are sitting there, and MJ's like, I'm going to press the button. And Ned's just like, don't do it. I just wish we could talk to Peter. And that's when he discovers he can use the sling ring because it like sparks a little bit. And then he's like, oh, show me Peter Parker. And then the portal opens, and there's Peter Parker in a suit who runs through the portal, and it's Andrew Garfield. And the whole audience fucking erupted as soon as the portal opened. And
Hell yeah.
including me. I did it. And then he does it again after questioning Andrew Garfield. No, not right now. Thank you, madam. No, I don't, actually. Thank you. After they're questioning Andrew Garfield, trying to determine the legitimacy of his Spider-Man-ness, they do it again, and Toby just like
love
steps
the scene.
through.
I love the scene too where they're questioning him as Spider-Man, where he goes up and grabs the ceiling.
Yeah, he just
and
jumps
they're
up and touches
he's
the
just
ceiling and
like,
sticks.
Crawl around a little bit.
He's like, I'm not going to
"You're-"
crawl around. And then Ned's grandmother says something in her native language, and Ned's just like, she wants you to get the cobweb in the corner while you're up there. And he's just
Which
like,
is-
oh, for fuck's sake.
It's really ironic
Yeah.
that Spider-Man's destroying a cobweb.
A little bit. But he does end up crawling over and getting the web. And then he's like, are we good now? And then Ned does the portal again. And then here comes Toby. And Toby just steps through wearing just street clothes. And Andrew says, do you always show up to battle looking like a youth pastor? And it was a great line.
I think... I feel like someone, like, does he say, like, oh, it's just some guy? Like, it's just he's not in the costume.
Yeah, it's like, are you Spider-Man? And he was like, I don't really advertise it. That kind of defeats the purpose of being an anonymous superhero. And Andy Garfield's like, that's what I said.
No, all these interactions are...
There's a lot of
meta.
really good interactions
I-
between the Spider-Men.
I wish that they pulled like from Spider-Verse where they have like the tingle goes off when they meet another Spider-Man. I wish they pulled that off.
That would have been
Yeah.
good. That would have been good.
Actually, to be fair, I never... That's one part of that movie that I'm not, like, super keen on. Like, I like that it can be kind of like... and it, like we saw, like, if it is absolutely pivotal for his, like, the situation, like, right? Like, even when he's out of body, his body is still moving the thing around to keep away from Doctor Strange. That's fine, because it's reactive. But this whole thing of, like, oh... I'm just sensing that you're like me. Like, there's no reaction here.
Yeah.
Like, even like I loved when they're throwing, like he's like throwing bread at Andrew Garfield, and he's like, it doesn't work for bread.
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't work
he's
for
like,
bread.
It's not like it's exactly the point. Is like, no, it is completely impulsive. if he concentrates to a great degree, he might be able to kind of like pinpoint something like that. But the way that they kind of have like an automatic response to just meet another Spider-Man doesn't make sense to me.
Really,
I don't like
it's really maybe his hardest power to put on screen too. Like you
I
need
think they
to,
did a phenomenal job of it in this
Oh
one.
yeah, agreed.
And then they're like, well, we got to find your Peter Parker. So, like, does he have a spot that he would go to kind of just forget the world? And then the two of them have like a fucking dick measuring contest where Toby is just like, yeah, mine was the Chrysler Building, and Andy's like Empire State, and Toby's just like, yeah, it's a nice view, isn't it? And he was like, yeah, it is. It was like the weirdest scene.
He has like a mini arc where he's just trying to be like, I'm the coolest Spider-Man, and then they talk about how they went to space, and he's just like, okay.
Yeah, no.
Or how if one fought an alien, one
that
went to
whole when they're prepping, there's like a 2-minute sequence of them just like nerd gushing, right? It's like, who was the best guy you fought? And they mention the Rhino, and they mention Venom, and they mention these things. He's like, oh, that's weird. I only fought an alien here, and it's like, oh man,
You went to space? It was so fucking great. And so they find Peter on the roof of the school, and of course he's a fucking mess. Aunt May just died, but Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2 are here to comfort Spider-Man 3.
That becomes funny too, because they literally have this conversation. She's like, oh wait, I'm 2? Like I'm 3? Like,
yeah, they have no idea. And then Tom's just like, I'm Spider-Man 1, you're Spider-Man 2, you're Spider-Man 3. Let's go.
I guess I'm 3.
Great. It was so fucking
oh
great.
yeah, that's when Garfield's like, I guess I'm 3.
I guess I'm 3. But they have a real heart-to-heart among Spider-Men where Tom's just like, don't you try to tell me you know what I'm going through, even though we as the audience know they know exactly what you're going through. We've seen those movies.
And then they explain it.
And they explain it, yeah, and they bond over...
Nobody ever wants to hear that, though.
They bond over Toby losing Uncle Ben. They bond over Andy losing Gwen, literally in his arms. And they bond over Aunt May dying with Tom Holland. And it's just this terrible little scene where they're bonding over their tragedy. And then they all team up in the lab of the school to recreate the cures and try to save all the villains. And it's so fucking great. This fucking Ned has a scene...
Ned and Toby?
Yeah, Ned has a scene with Toby, and he's just like, so do you have a best friend? And he was like, I did. He died in my arms after he tried to kill me. So heartbreaking. And he delivers it so great. And Ned's just like stunned, and he's just like looking around.
I won't become a supervillain and try to kill you.
Right.
And Tom's like, oh, okay. Thanks, I guess.
Jeff, I will become a supervillain and try to kill you later.
If you didn't, I'd be disappointed.
Seriously,
Chris,
I mean,
you're also assuming a lot by saying you're his best friend. Sorry.
Think about Think about how important you'd feel if I needed to kill you.
Wait a minute.
I feel like D's probably the most
Right?
likely to go supervillain.
Like if
he has the flair for it.
I'd have a good reason.
Go on.
My
Go
motive
on.
will be dope.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like Chris is the one that we'd think like naturally, but I feel like D's the one that it would actually happen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I
I
could
would
see
probably
D trying
be
to
a
murder
dick.
him.
I'd avenge your death,
It would
Jeff.
be a heel turn.
I could probably be a villain. He would be the supervillain. He's got the flair for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's definitely the more dramatic
I
of the two
definitely
of
have
you.
the vests for it. Yeah.
Sure, that too.
What type of where are you at on are you gonna be like a Mysterio kind of?
I mean,
Jake Gyllenhaal.
you got to keep him guessing,
Riddler.
Gotta be.
Gotcha.
I don't want to label myself. Gotta be able to reinvent.
Well, I think we
Mud
have,
Hut Man.
No, Mud Hut Man's a hero.
Oh God, it's happened. The Mud Hut serum.
No one would know your voice.
The Mud Hut serum has
Hey,
activated.
Mud Hut Man.
Everyone was Sandman.
What's your opinion of Sandman? Actually,
He's not Mudman.
all right. Well, he sometimes turns into mud when you get him wet.
I'm much stickier.
I don't
gross.
like that, Mud Hut Man.
That's exactly why I'm a villain.
That's disgusting. That's
All right, peace, yo.
so Spider-Man.
He always leaves us so fucking dirty in here.
Yeah, he does. So
damn
Spider-Man, and Spider-Man are creating the cures, and Garfield tries to show them up. He's like, "Yeah, I cured Lizard once before. I can do it again. No big deal." And they both look at him, and he's just like, "What?" I said, "It's no big deal." And they're like, "All right, cool, then do it." Well, I don't know why you're trying to prove you've got the biggest dick in the room. We're all Spider-Man here. Calm down. And then Toby says he's got an idea to cure Norman because he's thought about it for years. I imagine the death of Norman Osborn in front of Toby probably haunted that Spider-Man for years and years and years. And it's been 20 since that movie came out. So yeah, I imagine Toby's had time to think about it.
Tobey Maguire, not Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
just like,
Actual
man,
Tobey
I
Maguire.
can't believe I killed Willem
they also
Dafoe.
have a nice little Garfield and Tobey Maguire scene where Andrew Garfield like cracks his back. Like
Yeah.
cracks
I
his
love
back
that.
for him, and
Yeah.
it's
It's
just,
such
like,
an
the kid's, like,
unnecessary scene, but it's so great.
so many conversations was like unnecessary, but just like
It was
this-
great.
But like you could say it's unnecessary, but you're also like,
Oh.
but this is why we made
100%.
this movie.
And then
Like,
in
it's
the-
not unnecessary. if you
when
think of it
when
that
all
way.
three Spider-Men are in the lab making the cures, and Ned says Spider-Man, they look up, they're like, yes. And it's like, no,
Oh.
my Spider-Man. And they start pointing at each other,
They-
just like the fucking cartoon
Well,
meme.
they do the point
did
meme.
they? I
but
wasn't
do-
sure they did point mean.
They
I-
did. They did.
That's sort of, I think, what that interaction was.
Okay.
They're pointing back and
Okay.
forth. But like they did it without being like
obvious.
super
Yeah.
like
They didn't do it in costume.
Yeah.
They didn't like put a
and they
fine
weren't
point on it.
standing around
yeah,
and the
that's-
pose.
That was just classic comedy, like just really good. Like it's not even all that funny. It's just good timing. Good,
Yeah, it was like
good,
Spider-Man.
thing.
Yes. No.
Yes.
No. Peter.
Yes. Yeah. Parker.
Peter
He's like,
Parker.
This isn't
Yes.
helping. Like,
It was the funniest fucking shit.
it's just dumb and obvious, but it worked.
Yeah, and then they create a plan to lure all the bad guys to the Statue of Liberty.
That's the breakdown of this entire movie. This is dumb and obvious, but it works.
yeah.
Well, it
It's
did
dumb,
go to show
obvious.
you.
I'm all for it, and I'm gonna watch it again.
100%.
It does go to show you that like they did pick like three really solid actors for the three Spider-Man over this
Yeah.
time, and they
Whenever
picked
my
them.
complaints were with the previous Spider-Man movies, the casting of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield is not really one of them.
Yeah.
Well, I lied. I didn't think Andrew Garfield was a good fit for Peter Parker, but I thought he was a great Spider-Man.
Hey, I never minded any of it. I got that they were doing a different take on Peter
Yeah.
Parker that wasn't classic, and that was
Right.
fine. And if you just, I don't even see Tom Holland as like a mix between the two. I think he's just a
He's just
better
different.
current Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like
He's
he's
just a
a
different
more
generation.
match. He's like a Tobey Maguire, but in the 21st century, not the like frozen in time Tobey Maguire Spider-Man series where it's kind of like a place at a time.
Right.
It's like kind of the 1950s, but like not, or the 60s, but like the Andrew Garfield one was always like in costume. No one pulled off Spider-Man better than this. Someone just posted something on Reddit. I don't know if anybody saw this. It was just like they were just looking at his mannerisms in costume when he's trying to like explain something to his to the who was the lead, the female lead.
Gwen Stacy.
Gwen Stacy. He's trying to like explain. He's like,
Emma
"Come
Stone."
on." He's like freaking out, and he's like touching his head. His mannerisms just are so emphatic.
Mannerisms or mannerisms?
His
Mannerisms.
mannerisms.
All right,
I'm having an aneurysm from this conversation.
My mannerism.
Spider-Man
It's
mannerism.
mannerisms. Yes, her
Okay.
mannerisms.
I'm sorry.
Um,
I just thought I was stupid
I'm having
for a second.
mannerism all over.
Just this 1 second? This is the
Just-
only time you ever questioned
my
that?
gosh.
No, there was also that time earlier in the podcast where I said something in my head and I replied out loud.
What about 2 weeks
That was
ago when
pretty
you said
dumb.
Wilson Fisk can fight Kingpin?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, and they're both going to fight the Fat Man.
Yeah.
So
It's the Kingpin verse.
No, the Fat Man is actually just a super overweight Batman.
Oh.
He has the grappling
gotcha.
hook and also
Kevin
a box
Smith.
of donuts.
It's
Oh.
Kevin Smith.
his podcast is called Fat Man
That's
on
all right.
Batman. So.
it's called Fat Man Beyond now.
Is it really?
Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah, I know.
That's funny. If only he wasn't a scumbag human being.
Because he lost the weight.
Yeah, I know.
That's
Yeah,
when he changed
it's
the
great.
name.
I don't get it.
Anyway, so they come up with a master plan to lure all the bad guys to the Statue of Liberty with the box, because the bad guys know what the box does.
It's the MacGuffin.
Yeah, basically, and
It's the Scarlet
they're
Witch.
gonna take all the cures to the Liberty, and they're gonna cure everybody and send everybody home. So the plan starts out really, really well, except that none of the Spider-Men can work well together, and they have a moment where they acknowledge it. They're just like, "I've never worked as a team. I don't know how to do this."
I like this. I like
I've
the
been
scene where
That's good.
I like the scene where they're all fighting and Tom Holland shoots a web and it like clotheslines Andy Garfield.
Yeah, he breaks through it, and the web doesn't work, and it's just like, all right, guys, we need to figure this out. And Tom Holland's like, well, I have been in a team. I was part of the Avengers. And Tobey Maguire's like, that's so cool. Who are they?
I love that he's like the supportive dad
Yeah.
of the team.
Yeah.
Where he's
it's
just
so
like,
great.
and no matter what you say, I'm gonna be on board.
And Garfield's like,
I
is that
have
a
no
band?
idea
Are
what
you
you're
in a
saying.
band? Oh, that's so awesome. And it's just like, oh my God, that's right. They don't have the Avengers in their universes. This is the greatest callback ever. It was amazing. But they end up naming themselves Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. They work together as a team, and they start curing everybody. Electro seems to have them like dead to rights for a second, but then Doc Ock shows up to save the day because he helps them out. He grabs Electro, puts the cure on him, etc. And then Goblin shows up. and starts fucking shit up. It's such a great choreographed fight. Everything's amazing.
Every fight scene I'm saying is like they really did good fight scenes in this one.
They did great fight scenes, and Willem Dafoe deserves so much credit, and he gets a lot, but he deserves so much more. When he's
we
fighting
forgot to mention
Spider-Man.
this in the opening sequence when they arrive back at Peter's apartment, and before they realize that the helicopters are out front.
Oh, yeah,
that whole sequence of them arriving is all one take.
Oh shit!
So they go through Happy and she come in the house, like they're all. It's like so it really stepped, and like these are just like I know long oneers are not the most original thing in the world, but like they are.
Appreciated.
Clear attempts of trying to do something interesting with the cinematography that's
Which I'm always a
noticeable,
fan of.
and it's just like
And they're hard to do.
Yeah.
They're obviously not just like, okay, we'll just fix it with a bunch of editing.
and it works with this type of tone of movie where you get a lot of like tongue in cheek. There's comedy, there's slapstick, like it has all that attention, but like you got to do fun stuff like that with the cinematography. I think if you're gonna have any signature, if it's not gonna feel cookie cutter, and like one thing I can say is like, yeah, the fight sequences, the things in this movie, they don't feel cookie cutter. They don't feel like Eternals just was bland and it didn't do.
We're not here to crap on the
things.
Eternals.
Well,
I'm
but
just
that's-
pointing
I'm
out.
just
I'm here to
saying.
crap on the
But even
Eternals.
Shang-Chi would agree. I didn't feel it a lot. Like I was happy that there were like some really cool martial arts sequences, but like I was really waiting for more. Like
Well,
I
yeah, that movie just dies down towards the end where they're like, we're gonna have some bigger CG fights. But
Yeah.
like the a lot of people's complaints with Marvel movies sometimes is like that they don't like unless it's a Ragnarok or a like a Guardians, it doesn't have like a style very much other than being a Marvel movie. And this one's not like super like in your face about it. Like Ragnarok has like a style.
Yeah.
And this one's a little bit.
Do you know what Spider-Man
Subway-
I feel like does?
What's up?
Marvel's Spider-Man does, I think, a good job of being the Marvel Universe Spider-Man, which just would be the classic in the comics was like Marvel team up. Like it was Spider-Man and Iron Man, Spider-Man and Doctor
Yeah.
Strange. And that's what these movies have been. They've
Yeah,
been
because-
Spider-Man and Iron Man. They've been Spider-Man and Nicolas Cage. Or
Nicolas Cage.
Ghost Rider's in this.
I make the two. And Nick Fury. And then him and Doctor Strange. They are like so they take on he takes on those features. Like a lot of the second movie does take on kind of like Shield element stuff, and
Yeah.
the first movie does really take on like Iron Man element stuff, and this takes on Doctor
Well, I think
Strange element stuff.
That's
like
the
all
idea
the
because he is your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man,
Exactly.
and then when a bigger villain shows up, he needs help
exactly.
because he's just a little guy. And I've always
He's a
appreciated that.
wee
about
little
Spider-Man.
spider.
He's a little
It's
spider,
little Spider-Man.
little Spider-Man.
Tiny little baby Spider-Man.
little baby Spider-Man.
Oh, look at his little cheeks.
Oh, look, that one's a pig.
So just a flashback to give this next scene a little more context. When they're bonding over their trauma, Toby and Andrew tell Tom like I got revenge. Like Toby says I tracked down the guy who killed Uncle Ben. I wanted him to die. I got my wish, and it didn't make me feel any better. And Andrew says after the death of Gwen, I got bitter. I got cold. I got terrible. I stopped pulling my punches, and I just got rageful, and it didn't end well. It was awful. And then
This
Tom's
is, what he's referring to is the unmade second sequel to his movie. Is that what they're referring to?
yeah, I guess
I
so.
have to assume.
Because I believe that was supposed to take a darker turn the way Spider-Man 3 with Toby did, where it was just going to be like he's more upset and starting to like
Think they're gonna
actually.
do Venom again?
I hope not, but it seems like that's what they were playing into with
Well,
the rageful
okay,
part.
just so y'all know, the bartender in that scene with Venom with Tom Hardy
At the very end, which we haven't
is-
gotten to yet.
is an actor from Ted Lasso. He's Danny Rojas.
Which one's the one that people think is CGI?
Not this one.
Okay.
But the Venom symbiote was right next to him. He is a notable actor on one of the biggest television shows of the year, of the last 2 years. Like, I don't know.
Maybe,
Are they going to make
maybe.
Danny Rojas? Danny
Maybe.
Rojas. Football is live. Venom is live.
The conversation between the three Spider-Men on the roof of the school culminates with Tom saying, "I just want to kill him for what he did to May," and the other two are like, "You can't do that. It's not going to make you feel any better. It's just going to make you feel worse." And now, at the end of the fight at the Statue of Liberty later, Tom Holland and Green Goblin are fighting, and Tom's got Goblin like dead to rights. He's kicking his ass. He picks up the glider and goes to try to kill him when the other two Spider-Men see what's happening, and Toby comes down and stops him. He grabs the glider and just looks at him and just stops him from killing Green Goblin.
It shows the thing about Spider-Man. When Spider-Man's not making jokes and is fighting seriously, the villain doesn't stand a chance.
Right, because the part of Spider-Man's power has always been like a spider can lift things 8 times
He
its
can
weight, or
punch
8 times its
people
size.
into red mist.
He can. If he doesn't pull his punches, he will absolutely destroy a regular human in a fight.
He dents the shield that was part of the Statue of Liberty, the Captain American shield. He punches through it.
Yeah, it's fucking... Spider-Man has always been like crazy fucking strong. They just don't play that up very much in the comics.
And you guys know that in the comics they do explore this at one point. Superior Spider-Man. Have you read this?
Where it's Doc Ock.
So the whole
there's the one with Doc Ock where he punches off Scorpion's jaw. There's another one where he just beats the shit out of Wilson Fisk, like slaps him bloody.
Well, all I know is that it's a long story. I'm not going to get into it, but Dr. Octopus is Spider-Man now. Like, he is Peter Parker. He is Spider-Man. He's transferred consciousness, and now there's a whole slew called Superior Spider-Man where Doc Ock is Spider-Man.
Oh,
and it's
weird.
during this that he has a lot of realizations, while he's in his body, and he's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that Peter had this all the time. Didn't realize he had wasted this or done this. And it's when he just decides to just oh, screw this fight, and he just unleashes on a guy, and he literally kills him. He just punches him and he's dead. And he's like, holy shit. He's this strong? Okay. And the whole schematics in his brain go crazy. He's just he's been holding back this entire time. He's never actually unleashed on me.
He's punched me before.
I felt this. He's always pulled his punches every time he's hit me. And he just kind of goes back, and he's even during these insanely intense moments, he never gave into a full punch. It's just an interesting thing. They always play up the fact that Superman is far stronger than even he understands. And that's why when he there's always that pivotal moment of him lifting himself out of rubble, not giving up so he can save people.
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but then Toby stops him from killing Green Goblin, and they have this moment where they're just looking at each other, and Tom kind of accepts it, and he's like, okay, you're right. But too late, because Goblin just stabbed Tobey Maguire right in the fucking kidney.
I didn't need this.
It didn't need to happen.
It didn't need to happen because nothing comes of it.
Yeah, Toby's fine, apparently. He recovers.
He literally says, I've been stabbed before. He's like, and then they play it off as a joke, because he's like, oh, I'm in a lot of pain. Yeah. And I'm
Are you in a lot of pain? Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, if there's no payoff for that, don't do that. You can just kick him. You can just push him away. You don't need to give.
You don't need to pretend his life is in danger when you have no intention of killing him.
Because you could very well just kill him, and that makes sense. You end
especially since of the 3 Spider-Men, he's the only one who said I've got something to go home to, since he and MJ are working it out. Which I don't know what that implies, but holy shit.
Yeah, it'd be
awesome to see the Spider family.
There's enough knives in me after this movie.
Yeah.
I don't need that.
They were playing him up to be the Peter B. Parker of this movie. That's what he is.
Yeah. But then they end up curing Goblin. Garfield throws it to Tom. Tom puts it in Goblin's neck, and Norman's cured now. And then the universe starts crackling apart above them. Purple rifts are just appearing through the sky, and Strange is trying to seal them, but it's not working. And so Spider-Man goes up. He's like, what the fuck's happening? And he was like, your spell is ruining the fabric of time. So Tom's like, what if you redid it? And everyone forgot. And Strange is like, nah. That's stupid. And Spider-Man's like, no, that's the only solution. We have to do it to save the whole.
And it
universe.
wasn't if everybody forgot Spider-Man, it was everybody forgot me, Peter Parker.
Yes. And Strange is like, all right, it'll work. Go say your goodbyes. So he swings down. He says goodbye to the other Spider-Men, and the most awkward 3-way hug ever. But it was cute. It was great. And he says goodbye to MJ and Ned, and he's just like, everyone's gonna forget that I am Spider-Man. So you guys are going to forget me. Which I don't understand exactly how that works.
So they didn't every person in that universe forgot Peter Parker.
Oh,
Peter Parker got erased from history.
Okay,
That's why
he has to get his GED.
Yeah, he doesn't have a high school diploma.
He doesn't exist.
Oh shit. That is okay. That's a lot more.
That's
It's
why.
kind of-
so this
it's
is
kind of
so
the
this is
ballsiest-
actually no. This is actually a pretty neat thing because I like where they end it. They end it where it's just like he never existed. He never got the spider suit. He never got any of the Tony Stark stuff. He makes his own Spider-Man suit at the end. So he is literally at like standard Spider-Man situation without the Marvel input. Like he doesn't have an iron suit. He doesn't have like the tech. He doesn't have this. He has a traditional leotard thing. He's literally just your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. No strings attached. Nothing. He's a blank slate to move forward if they decided what they want to do. So it was a neat little send off because what anybody will tell you about like rated a comic book is like if you want to write a comic book, just you need to end it so that someone can pick it up.
Right.
So that
Yeah.
it can just go from there and it's status quo. So you want it to be there, you want it to have gone through something, but like, and I think clearly over the 3 movies they've done that, or the 6 movies I guess he's been in.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
I do that pretty well.
One thing I love about Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, every single movie he's in, you know how like every time you watch like a superhero movie or like even just standard action movies, there's the main character gets like beat up really, really bad, and you're like, oh look, he's got that small little scar on his head now to really signify he's gotten messed up.
Yeah, Tom Holland gets fucked
Tom
up.
Holland gets fucked up in every movie. He's
I
like,
think the
he
director
like is
just starts punching him.
He's like always got like blood in his eyes and like he's like sobbing while there's like blood running down. Like
that's how he
fucked
got.
up.
That's how he got Zendaya. I think like the first movie, Zendaya was like, "Oh wow, you look really tough in that." And they're saying, and he just went to the makeup guy and was like, "Just all over, everywhere, make me
Everywhere.
look beat up."
Fuck me up, fam.
It's not even a day that they're filming a scene for that. He's just like, yeah, I just on my way over, some guy just in the alleyway. You know?
But
You poor thing.
so Ned and MJ both make him promise that you're gonna find us. MJ says, "I love you," and he goes to say it back, and she says, "No, tell me on the other side." And it's a beautiful little scene. It's heartbreaking, and then Peter leaves, and then it cuts to this new world where everyone forgets Peter Parker, and he has this speech written down for MJ. He goes to the donut shop she works at, and in walks Ned behind him. The two of them don't even look at him because they don't know who he is, and they both got into MIT, and they're very happy about it. She's got school spirit for the first time in her fucking life, and Peter decides not to tell her who he is. He decides, like, I'm going to let them have this life. And my favorite thing, she still has the broken Black Dahlia necklace.
Yeah, where'd she get that?
Yeah, I wonder what her story is for that. And she has, like, the cut on her head that she got during the fight. And she says it doesn't hurt anymore. And I'm just like, oh, that's... And I'm wondering, like, was that them saying, like, it doesn't hurt anymore, like, in general? Or just, like, that cut? Like, it was a cute little thing. And he decides not to tell him. He gets this shitty little apartment, which looks a lot like Tobey's apartment in Spider-Man 2.
It really did, right?
It really
I
does.
thought
The guy-
for sure they were gonna have the landlord come out. And
Yeah,
be
they
like,
have,
"You owe me
like-
rent."
They have like a voice. I was for a second like when they said the thing, I was like, is he gonna be it? Is that gonna be him?
Yeah,
Rent is doing the first. Don't be late.
yeah.
like-
It wouldn't have been hard.
No, I'm sure that guy's not doing much else.
He could be dead though.
Then he unpacks his boxes, and he does have a book on how to get his GED, and he's got the little Lego Emperor Palpatine from the Death Star that he was building with Ned, and all these little mementos from his previous life. And then he just puts on his new shiny blue and red leotard suit and just jumps out the window
And
and
it
starts
is
swinging through the
very
snow.
shiny.
It is very shiny. It's kind of weird how shiny it is.
We forgot about one awesome scene with Jamie Foxx before it ends, where he says, "You're from Queens.
Oh, yeah,
You're
yeah.
Yeah.
from Queens. He's like, and you help poor people, and you ain't black."
Yeah, he was talking to Andrew Garfield.
He's got to be a black.
He says, "You're not
Garfield.
black."
There's
Andrew
gotta
Garfield says, "I'm sorry."
Oh, that is.
He apologizes.
I'm sorry.
Andrew Garfield's
Sounds
so
super-
fucking
he is
funny in
funny.
this.
He is
my
funny.
my fiance was next to me. She lost her shit. It was the loudest I've heard her laugh in a while. He says, "I'm sorry," and she just lost her fucking
It's
mind.
the first time.
should we talk
you've
about your
seen joy
reaction
in
to your
her face in a long
fiance
time,
suddenly
huh?
being in the theater?
I mean, we can't. Like, I was here.
She
with,
was the first cameo appearance of the movie.
I was here with my friends, and then
It's actually a variant.
I was here with
Oh,
my fiance had to work. She wasn't getting done until 6 o'clock. The showtime was at 5. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll just see this and I'll see her at home. And then we're sitting there in the aisle, and Dee taps me and he's like, "Do you know that man?" I looked on the aisle, and it's my fucking fiance waving at me like, "Oh shit!"
I that was what you said. I did not say, "Do you know that man?"
Oh,
that
I
was
thought
a
you said that.
you.
Your wife may have said that,
You know
yeah.
that man.
Somebody said, "Do you know that man?" And I looked down. It's like, "Oh shit!" And I just ran down to go.
It
sit
was
next to
funny
her.
because there was like 8 or 9 of us in a row, and we are just all looking down the aisle, just like, huh.
And there she is.
Like I said, first came out of the movie.
She squeaked out of work early and managed to join us in the movie theater, and I was very happy about that. It was great. Now let's get to the end credits.
Yeah, I
scene.
want to hear your opinion on this because you seem like you had
Fucking
some
hated
thoughts.
it. Fucking hated it.
Why? You
wait.
freaked out.
I freaked out because
before you give the take, I want to say that I love this. I love the
Yep.
way that they did this.
I
and
told you it would.
but-
I didn't realize they would go away, but I told you that it would just be like a realization of what was going on.
But-
That's what I said last week.
okay, but here's
Wait.
my thing.
All
So
right.
the end credits scene is Tom Hardy, Venom, sitting at a bar with your guy from Ted Lasso,
Mm-hmm.
and
Danny
the guy,
Rojas.
and Danny Rojas is relating the events of this universe to Tom Hardy about Thanos, about the Avengers, about all this stuff. And Tom Hardy like can't believe it. He's demanding to know again and again and again. And then he just goes away. The same way that everyone from the other universes went away when Strange hit the box. And I'm just like, you
all
telling
during
me
that time, Venom was just getting drunk.
Yep.
yes. And I'm just like, are you telling me you put Tom Hardy in this universe and then you're going to take him away from me just like that?
But
here's
he had,
here's it's not over. It's not over.
It's not over because he left a little bit of the Venom symbiote on the
it's
counter.
not over for more reasons than that. Because the whole premise that we saw at the end of the end credit of Venom 2 is the fact that was started when Venom starts telling him about the fact that like I have a whole life that you don't know about, and that he's like an interdimensional demon, or like that's a kind of like he talks about like this whole life of interplanetary travel, all this stuff, and then they flip over, and they also say that the only people that came over to this dimension were entities that knew that Spider-Man was Peter Parker or knew that connection. So Venom must know this. So Venom still must know this. So that there's still a connection. There's only the only reason he was there in the first place is because he must know this.
There's a
inherently.
connection there for sure.
Not Tom Hardy, but
there is a connection, and I cannot wait for it to be explored, but I'm very upset that you cock-teased me with Tom Hardy back in October, and now you fucking ripped it away from me in December.
so-
Merry fucking Christmas.
So do you want to know my? Do you want to know my?
you'll get something in the next Venom movie where he has to go back to get the piece that he left behind, and then he'll run into Tom Hardy.
I
don't believe you.
Do you want? Do
And
you
it'll
want
be
my take on it?
TH versus TH.
Yeah, what's your fucking take, Troy?
I loved it because I was at the end of Let There Be Carnage. I was sort of just like, I don't want these guys in this universe.
Fuck you.
And I was sort of just like I don't hate Tom Hardy, and I don't even hate those movies necessarily.
Cookie Monster Venom voice.
But like I was like I've been thinking since that movie, just like how is he gonna like fit into this universe and like interact with people? And I was just like and the real looming threat was I just didn't want Morbius.
Did you see? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. They cut a new Venom trailer in the style of a romantic comedy between Tom
No,
Hardy
but
and
that's
Venom.
what they should have been already.
It was the whole time.
Yeah, that, we had that take on our podcast when after we saw
Everybody's
the movie.
had that take since
Everybody
the
had
first
that
one.
fucking
But
take.
just
But they actually made a
We're not
trailer.
special.
They made a trailer as a romantic comedy. I thought it was really funny.
But just but it was a romantic comedy.
It reminded me of the trailer they did for Once Upon a Deadpool.
But much like the first Venom movie, it just didn't have a second act.
So that was the end credits scene, and then at the very, very end, they gave us a trailer for Doctor Strange 2 with...
It is weird. It's like a trailer.
Yeah, it literally was just a trailer for Doctor
Honestly,
Strange 2.
I'll take that over like actual plot details because if it's just a trailer, I don't need to watch it. I just watch the trailer.
Yeah.
But it does.
I can instead go out of the theater and pee.
It does go into what Dee was saying before when we were covering it, that what if kind of seems like it's not as non-canon as before.
Yeah.
It's true. There was like a dark version of Doctor Strange in the trailer that we saw briefly.
Also, in the very, very beginning, he walks out of the sanctum, and the whole world is turning to goop, which is a direct scene from the What If episode where the world is being destroyed, and it's which Doctor Strange are we looking at? Are we looking at the first one, and he's just telling us about the events, or is
Right.
it happening to the Prime one.
Who knows? But I'm very curious. And Wanda was there, of course. Fucking Wong was there, of course.
Big eye tentacle monster that I'm sure has a name, but I don't know it.
Yeah. And the beginning of the trailer was Wong's echoing words from earlier when he said, "Leave me out of this," with the whole
Baron
spell and
Mordo.
stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, and it makes me very excited.
Baron
for...
Mordo with a fresh haircut.
Yeah. They did say after
I
the
guess that's
trailer-
where he's been all this time. He's just been growing those
He's
locks.
just like he's trying different styles. He's just like, nah, that's not it either.
He's just holding his breath, going, just making it grow.
I like the idea that he's been cutting his hair in different styles and just like, I don't like that either, and just keeps going until Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah. I will say the trailer, you can probably find it online at this point. Go watch it if you want. They do sit
Or if you don't want, just watch it anyway.
after the trailer for Doctor Strange, it says Doctor Strange will return. It does not say Spider-Man will return. So I know it was implied and kind of hinted at before the movie came out that this is the end of Spider-Man's trilogy and arc here with Marvel, but it seems very much concrete at this point. There will not be another Spider-Man movie for a long time.
Okay.
I'm sad.
You can do some Daredevil. I'm happy. Like, it's fine.
It ended. It ended. I don't know that I loved that Peter doesn't have an MJ or a best friend now.
There was literally, but that's fine. That's a reboot of Spider-Man. It is what it is. It leaves them open to have a whole Gwen Stacy or this. Like, you can go in different directions if they want to, if they decide to. But if not, if the story, like, this is the better scenario because, like, the last time, before they made Spider-Man 3, right? After they made Spider-Man 2, like, immediately Sony and Marvel were done, technically. And they were technically done their entire run, and they were not going to renew, and they were left literally with that cliffhanger of, like, Mysterio reveals his identity. And it's like, that was not going to be okay.
Yep.
This is fine.
Yeah,
this
is
I'll
much better.
like more, but I also am fine with them just ending it and being like,
So there was a bunch of interviews where it started with Tom Holland saying stuff along the lines of like, I think I might be done with Spider-Man if I'm playing this I think his exact phrase is like, if I'm playing this character at 40, I made a mistake. But then a few like weeks later, he came out and said something along the lines of like, yeah, and
I don't want to offend Tobey Maguire.
No, but he was like, but
ouch.
He was like,
Damn.
he said something along the lines of, we wrapped up. We're excited that we wrapped up this trilogy and are excited for like the next one, and like hinted that there will be more Spider-Man movies. So it sort of seemed like there was something behind the works where they didn't know if they were going to get him, and then they got him.
I think what I remember him saying is that he said something along the lines of, "This is going to be the last movie where," and he was referring to Zendaya and Ned's character, like that they are not going to work together again. That this is the end for them. So not saying there's going to be any more Spider-Man.
MCU. I don't know if it's going to be another Spider-Man movie. I'd like another Spider-Man movie.
I mean,
I
set
think
themselves.
I think
themselves,
Sony wants some solo.
Right.
They want some.
Yeah,
Tom
that's
Holland
what I was
money.
thinking.
That's
I'm
what I
thinking
think.
they're not going to involve the MCU because they set it up so that they wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like
They
none of the
set it up
Avengers
so
know
that
him. He has no allies
Yeah.
from the friends that he's made.
they can move him right over to Venomverse.
Yep.
Hypothetically, especially if the
they wanted to.
multiverse of madness leaves cracks open or does a blending for real. This is just the precursor to it. It makes much more sense that literally
And-
the movie called The Multiverse of Madness is going to.
It could even work in a way
Extend
where
this
he
decision.
eventually does come back from time to time, but then just jumps back and forth after that.
Yeah, because I mean, Spider-Man has basically become the Flash of this universe, where he's just like, there's just, multiples. But are we calling this a day, guys? I think we covered it. I think we did.
Yeah.
it.
That's honestly pretty much it.
I only have one more thing that I forgot to mention when we were talking about it. The initial scene where they talk about working as a team and being Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, and they all sort of like Power Rangers break and jump off and swing around the tower a bunch of times. Kind of was a little teary-eyed. I was sort of like, this is fucking rad. I'm so...
I got
that's all
that. I got that way when Garfield saved Zendaya.
100%.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
You could see it on the character's face. Like
he says, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then he starts like freaking out and crying a little bit. And she's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Andrew Garfield also went through like sort of like sort of like a sad bout after Spider-Man 2 didn't do well, and he stopped being Spider-Man because apparently he fucking loves Spider-Man.
He really liked being Spider-Man.
So, and I feel like that was like a moment of just like he teared up because he saved essentially Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, he got redemption for that thing that he messed up last.
But I feel like Andrew Garfield himself was kind of just like, I did it. Like,
I'm Spider-Man.
yeah, I'm Spider-Man.
I really
damn
am
it.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. All right.
He'll always be Spider-Man.
That is it for this episode of the podcast discussing Spider-Man and Hawkeye in there for a minute.
Who gives a fuck about Hawkeye?
At this point,
Oh,
for
you
real.
can shoot some arrows. Oh,
We'll care about it next week.
We gonna-
With episode
Arrows.
6.
when's there ever going to be a Hawkeye verse?
Next week we'll wrap up Hawkeye, and it's almost Christmas upon us, so we got a couple movies coming out.
Oh yeah,
We gotta watch
That,
Gremlins.
we should watch.
Oh, it gets Sirs.
It gets
Sirs. We got like a Boba Fett.
Ooh.
We got,
Boba Fett, yeah.
It's
So
pronounced
close.
Bobbert Fett.
On the film side of things, we got the new Matrix movie coming out that I know Troy doesn't give a shit about.
I don't, but I will watch it.
Yes, you will.
I should watch. I should watch their mate. I've
Watch the first one.
I'm gonna watch them all. I think.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna dedicate to watching them all. I have never been a Matrix fan, but I also haven't watched them in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll talk about that on the Matrix podcast.
It
'cause
also-
we're definitely doing one.
It also cost me nothing, so
That's true. That's true. They're all on HBO.
nothing but time.
Yeah.
Are they still doing that? Jesus.
Yeah. Anyway, like, subscribe, comment, email, all that fun stuff. This is a
Twitch.
short wrap up. We're just gonna end it here.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all for listening.
I love
Goodbye.
you.
Lovely day.
Chris, love you.